Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tony Demakis, and this show is powered by Alliance Specialties and Alliance Laser Sales, where we do all the things that mold makers don't have time to do. So, mold makers that don't build molds. It's the dumbest saying ever, but it's the only thing that accurately encompasses everything that we do. We've created a hub to be able to service molds from beginning to end, new or old. So what does that look like? It means that we do polishing, we do laser welding, we do laser engraving, we do hot runner repair, complete bakeouts, refurbs, rewiring, the whole 9 yards, preventative mold maintenance. Did I say laser engraving or engraving? All those things, right? So if you're a mold shop and you're like, I have one polisher and all these tools that need to get done, we're the guys. We're here to help you. We've got pickup and delivery. We'll come all over the place to get it. And then we also have an R&D laser development center in Prairie Grove, which is 15 minutes from our main headquarters, where we build and sell laser welding and laser engraving equipment. What's unique about that? It's all done here in the U.S. We don't want to get stuff from overseas and have to worry about tariffs and shipping and delays and all that stuff. If you want it, we'll work with you and get it done. It doesn't have to be one of our solutions. We have great solutions, but sometimes we know that customers have things that are unique and they need special custom solutions. And we're here to do that too. We want to help however we can. One thing I've forgotten to mention for ever is we also have a facility in California. And the facility in California focuses primarily on laser welding and laser engraving for tool repair and maintenance. So they're not going to do the polishing over there or the hot runner burnouts, but they are extremely fast and attentive to all the needs that mold makers have, and that's a very big market out there. And we're really proud to be able to have the guys in that area. So if you're looking for somebody to do your welding out in California, we're happy to do it. It's in the Montclair area. Call Ricardo. He's an awesome guy. And if you don't know how to call Ricardo, then send us a message. Put it in the chat here, and we'll get to it. But while we're talking about California, a couple of things coming up. We have MD&M West coming up. That is going to be the full week, right? So I know it's just the 7th to the 9th, but if you're doing this alliance style, it goes from the 6th to the 10th. What do I mean by that? I mean that on the 6th, the Monday before MD&M starts, we are doing something new. We are calling it the E210 Initiative. And what does that look like? The E210 Initiative is our way of saying, you get all these people together, all these businesses, all these organizations, all these manufacturers who say that they want to make a difference, who say that they want to make an impact, who say that they are ready to do more for the community and show what manufacturing is all about, but there's never really been a platform. And so what we've done is we've said, how can the Manufacturing Alliance take this up a notch and actually make a difference? And so what E210, what we're doing is we are going to the areas that trade shows or conferences take place. For this, it happens to be MD&M West, which is in Anaheim. And we're going to invite people to come help us serve the community. So this is the first time we're trying this. Whether it's a success or not, we're going to do it again at PT Expo. We're going to do it at the AMBA conference. We're going to do it at all these places. But the first one is going to be that Monday, the 6th. We are going to partner with Saddleback Church, their grocery distribution center, and we are going to make it so families have food to eat. So we're either going to be packing grocery bags or we're going to be serving groceries, whatever that looks like. And I know it's not convenient. I know you have things to do. I know you got to get your booth up. I know, right? But giving back is not convenient. It's not about convenience. It's about giving more of yourself and doing more for other people. And so we're asking for 2 hours of your time. It's from 10 o'clock till noon. So if you need more information, you can put it in the chat. You can email Vanessa, Vanessa F at alliancelasersales.com. You can do any of those things. And we will respond to you and get you the data. Now, if you say this is something I absolutely need to do, how do I sign up? Good question. I'm glad you asked. You just go to alliancelasersales.com/E210CA. And there's a form you fill out. just confirm that you want to participate. We have a few people signed up now, but we are definitely looking to take on more people. So that's the first thing. That's on the 6th. Now, fast forward all the way through the rest of the week, and it's time to relax and have some fun. That's why our friends at MR Mold are having their first ever golf outing. It is to benefit Eye Warriors, which is a cause that is near and dear to our hearts. Eye Warriors provides iPads to combat wounded veterans, whether they're suffering from PTSD or whatever it might be. These iPads give these veterans an opportunity to communicate with their loved ones. There's also special software on the apps. But really, what we get to do is tell them thank you. And that's what these iPads do. It gives us an opportunity to say thank you for your service. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for sacrificing for us. So if you think, hey, I got time to kill on Friday. I really don't want to go back to work. I like golf, and I would love it if my golf did something good for somebody. You should participate in the iWarriors golf outing. And to sign up for that, you go to iWarriorsGolf, mrmold.eventlify.com. And they still have plenty of spaces available. If you can't go play golf, there are sponsorships available, hole sponsors, lunch sponsors, you name it. I believe it's only 9 holes, so it's not even going to take up the whole day. It's something that everybody can go out and participate in. And, here's the thing. If you don't do either of those, that's fine too. We still love you. But, make sure that you're trying to do something. Or let's do it the next time. Join us for PT Expo. PT Expo, we got something great lined up. Again, it's going to be the Monday before the event. More information coming out for that. But I don't want to confuse everybody and put all these forms out there at one time. So that's why we haven't heard more about that. But I have confirmed from Christina Fuges that Gardner Business Media and Mold Making Technology and PT are all going to participate in some way at the PT Expo charitable event. Spoiler alert, it's going to be with Feed My Starving Children. It's going to be a great time. It'll be after hours. So my hope is that we can go serve and then maybe even go have some dinner and drinks together, because really that's fun and I enjoy it. So that's it for what's coming up at MD&M West. That was a lot. What else? This is a live show. So if you're watching, you have thoughts, questions, concerns, input, you want to call me on, my BS because I don't know what I'm talking about, that's fine. Put that in the chat, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. We are currently watching all of them to make sure that we can get all of those messages. My LinkedIn one is not working, but hey, you know why? Because my Wi-Fi is turned on, and for some reason the Wi-Fi doesn't work properly in the conference room. It's a whole thing. So there's those things, but I'm excited because today we got a guy that I've been following for a long time. He is one of those pioneers to video on social media, and mostly LinkedIn. And he's got a flair about him that you don't see in business all the time, right? You got people that are very stuffy and, like they're like robots. They got to put on the super professional image. And what I like about this guy is we see eye to eye in the fact that authenticity matters. And it doesn't have to be a perfect production of the conversation, right? It's not masked and pretty things. We're not hiring a production company. We're just talking. We're talking real. So I'm gonna bring Zac in. Give me 1 second. Zac Holcomb. Zac, welcome to our show, my friend.
What's up, man? How are you? I like the plush studio you got there.
Yeah, it's great from this view. That view is like a hot mess. It's our conference room. I'm just being honest. We got stuff from trade shows still out. We got wires all over the place, but this view looks great.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. How you been?
Good, man. Been really good. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on here, man. I've been watching your stuff for a while too. We originally, I don't know if you know or not, but we bumped into each other originally at Molding 19 in Indy. And you were kind of doing the pod there at the show. And I was like, oh man, should I jump on? Should I not jump on? And I didn't. And I've always kind of regretted it. I know, I totally should have. I was a big chicken. So, but yeah, I had to get back up with you. So appreciate it, man.
Yeah, that was when Christina and I were setting up all those times at molding just to dig in with people and find out what was going on with their lives and business and everything else. And it's great. I think that more people need to see this and see what manufacturing and industry is really all about, and not this like, sugar coated version or the old time idea that it's just this dungeon of dirtiness and no innovation. It's the opposite of that today.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that is big to me, man, on the whole industry, and like printing or molding is very much the same. Of like, it's not really glamorous. You don't really see a lot of like overly produced videos showing your mold out of cycle, and it's just spitting out bad parts. And like, there's not a whole lot of like overproduced videos showing like an SLA machine coming up and the whole build is wrecked and there's just spaghetti all over. So like, I think there's our industry, it does a good job of failing forward, but we don't really share the failures too much. So I kind of think it's a big thing, man. I think it's one of those things that over indexes for sure.
Yeah. And I think, failures, we were talking about it before we came on here. I mean, just kind of go for it and see what happens, right? And people can unite and embrace a little bit in the failures. Like, listen, I've been doing this for a long time and I still got catastrophes. I mean, this doesn't always go right. Sometimes it's okay to let people in on the curtain. What's behind the curtain. Let's see Oz.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. It's kind of like what we were talking just before of like the social media stuff, or like you don't know what you're going to put out that's going to actually work, and that's like very similar in being in emerging things and emerging technologies, and you just don't know. And trying not to have a perfect record is like the fastest way to have a really nice winning record, I think. So yeah, totally. How many? There's only been one undefeated Super Bowl winner, so you got to lose every once in a while, man. The best do it all the time. So
Well, if all you do is win, listen, I would be lying if I said that I don't enjoy winning. But I
for sure.
hate losing more than I like winning. And so every time I lose, I want to figure out how I don't have that feeling again. How do I improve and get better so that I don't have to deal with that thing again? Um, but I think if you just win constantly, you kind of get used to it and you take it for granted, and it doesn't feel as special anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally with that as well. And kind of like the overproduction, not overproduct or overproduced stuff. I mean, like, dude, like some of the best videos I've ever done are like, I think like the one that absolutely had the most tread was like literally a 13-second thing where I like pulled the machine up and down, like the top of it to like that TikTok bit.
Yeah.
And that, I think I maybe had 48 seconds of total time putting that together. And there's guys that'll still run into me in trade shows and they're like, Zac, you did the, oh my, it's hilarious. I love it. Every time I think about that, every time I hear that song, I think about you. It's just like silly things like that you just never know. And you really don't know that it has that effect on someone until, down the road later on. And, it could be something with 100 views or something with 1,000 views, but like, it's like, it'll be like one of those ones that you thought was a total waste, but you had a lot of fun making it, and you're like, yeah, no one ever saw it, but I enjoyed it a lot. And then randomly 2 years down the road, someone will be like, I started following you based on this, and you're like, I remember that video being a flop, with all the numbers, but it's crazy fun.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you just kind of put yourself out there. But we can get to all of that. Before we do, if you're watching this, go ahead and like it, subscribe it. I never say this. It's weird. I watch those videos. I watch the YouTube videos all the time, and I'm like,
like all the cool kids say.
Yeah, smash that like button. I don't get it. I mean, you're just clicking. Let's be honest. It's not like Wreck-It Ralph or anything. It's fine. But I think we should dig in a little bit to who you are and why this matters at all before we go down all these paths of everything. So why don't you do me a favor, give people a quick little elevator speech on who you are and what you got going on.
Right on. So my name is Zac Holcomb. I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. I've been in the 3D game or in product development for about 10 years now. I got started in 2012 at a company called Aerosport Modeling and Design. It's now known as Aerosport Additive. Got to do tons of cool stuff there, man. My father Laurel owned the business, so got to get in there at the ground level and really like kind of go around and pick up the things that guys around the shop would talk about hating doing. And I'd be like, dude, show me how to do that and I'll do it for you. So it was like cleaning SLA. Then it was like, man, if I could just get you to program SLA, I wouldn't have to come in here anymore. So I was like, show me what's up with that. So kind of like started picking up skills in a model shop, just kind of based on wanting to learn as much as I could. And so I did that for a good bit. And then, like legacy 3D systems machining, things like that. And then we got into the HP multi-jet fusion stuff in 2017, right after it had come out. And one of the cool things about that was right at that same time, I was starting to spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. And I think right about September, we got the machine. And right about that same time, LinkedIn gave me early access to video production. So they only gave it to certain people early on to kind of roll it out. And I was lucky enough to be one of those people. And so when we brought that new thing out, it over-indexed as well. So I had brand new technology, know how to run it, know how to use it. We're making videos with it in the background. We're explaining it all by being one of the first profile pages, especially in our industry, to have access to video. So that was kind of like what I guess you could say that was like the big moment that kind of like popped my career, I guess you could say. And then shortly thereafter, man, it was just like, we're giving away a lot of really cool information about the tech and answering questions. And we're doing it all from like every video at that time was just like cell phone in the hand. And there's a selfie video, like walking into the shop and seeing what was going on. And a lot of people really like kind of like seeing behind the curtain of a shop like that without it being all glitzy, glamoury. So.
And usually you weren't walking into the shop. Weren't you just like buzzing around on a scooter or something?
Yeah, dude. Now I got the one wheel. So I did that for
Do
a
you
little
really?
bit.
Is it awful? I mean,
oh, dude, it's so sick. I love it. Like I crashed really, really bad on day 5 and messed my shoulder up for like 6 weeks. I couldn't sleep on one side. Yeah. But after that, man, once you have respect, it's like anything else. Once you can respect it for what it is, it's pretty smooth sailing from there. But yeah, man, the one wheel is awesome. We use it around in downtown. So in 2019, I left that business and started Additive America. And then we moved down to North Carolina, a little bit warmer weather, kind of doing a lot of the same stuff and kind of launching off with an HP machine as well. So, but yeah, dude, the one wheel, it's the way to live for sure. And it looks really cool for your content too. Like it's definitely eye-catching when you're rocking a selfie video and everything behind is just like.
Yes. So I mean, it caught my attention. Now, how old are you?
I'm 34.
That's why you can still rock a one wheel. Listen,
yeah,
if I fall off of that, I'm going to be down for a while. That's going to be ugly. It's like I watch football with my friends now. We're all old guys. I think like 45 is old. It's getting older. It hurts to stand up. I watch these football games and I think, oh my gosh, one hit and I would be dead. I'm not moving. I got one play in me. That's it.
Yeah, it's like the Toby Keith song, man. Like you're as good as you once were one time more, or something along those lines, I'm starting to feel that too from time to time. I got like back into wrestling. Wrestling was like my sport in school. And I got kind of back into it in the summer last year, met some guys down here, started rolling around with them. And my problem is my head is still, in my mind, I'm still that guy.
Yes.
But my body doesn't move that fast. But I can't in the moment, I can't tell my mind to not do it. So I get caught in all these situations. So I've got like a retainer situation at the chiropractor now. It's terrible.
Well, and the thing is, right, you got to remember, I'm not just like having to suffer through school. I got to go to work tomorrow. I got responsibilities now. It's hard getting old. It hurts.
Yeah, it's terrible. But at least our minds are still pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
think.
We were at the Emerging Leaders Meeting conference that AMBA put on. That was in Indy. And, they had the scooters, the Zip scooters, the electric scooters. And our team and a bunch of guys from there, we were riding scooters all around downtown Indy at like 1:00 in the morning. It was ridiculous. We decided it'd be fun to race to the top of the parking garage and then back down. So you're just like going balls to the wall down the parking garage on a stupid little scooter. It wasn't brilliant, but it was fun. I mean, I would try the one wheel. I think I'd be very successful at it, but
it's like snowboarding. And I actually wasn't a board sport guy at all. It was kind of like a midlife crisis of like, man, if I don't start doing like a skateboard thing here soon, it's probably that window is going to pass me. And then I was like, oh, this one holds you up and levels you. I was like, Seems like training wheels is what I kind of thought. So that's kind of how we got into it, man. Actually, funny story on those scooters. We got bird scooters in town here, and we got I'm very entrepreneurial. Like as soon as I get something going, I want to train people to help me with it. And I go try to start other things. And so we got the contract on the scooters in town too. So yeah, we're always running around, dropping those off, moving them around. So yeah, that's a fun game too.
They're fun. Now, I would be careful when you say midlife crisis, because if in your 30s and you hit a midlife crisis, that means you're only planning to live to like 65.
Yeah, go hard and end quick.
I am just now starting to accept that I might be at midlife crisis level, because I plan on living past my 90s. So at 45, I just hit the middle. So if I'm planning like 95 upper, my grandma's 101. So there's potential there for me not even to be at midlife yet, which I am okay with.
Which is awesome. Yeah, that's super cool. My family's generally like, we'll be just like this, and then we hit 80, and that's about it. So yeah, I'm close. At least the numbers I've been looking at, our analytics aren't as good as yours.
Well, half of my family and analytics are good. They're going to balance out for sure. Yeah. That's the problem. So I love additive technology. I do. I don't fully understand it. Like, I'm not good with acronyms at all. I think I get that from my father. We would be in a meeting, and somebody would start talking about like PPAP or whatever, and he would like, stop, just use words, don't give me letters. And so I feel that way when it comes to additive. Like, I love what additive is all about. I love how simple isn't the right word, but how quickly you can make parts and tooling and fixtures and everything. But I don't get all the jargon, and maybe because I'm not inundated with it all the time. But when it's like, SLA and this and that and the other thing and whatever, what are your thoughts? Like, what are the different acronyms that you usually go by? What's popular and what's like dead?
Sure. So I think like the original 3D, so like going in chronological-ish order. And again, so full disclaimer here, I'm just I just learned by doing credits. So don't hit me up with any engineering thing like that. Drop it in the comments and correct me.
Yeah. We're going to have somebody else answer those engineering questions.
For sure. But anywho, like it kind of started out, the original 3D printing was SLA or stereolithography. That was the vat of resin with the laser drawn all around from 3D systems, late 1980s, about 87, 88, about the time I was born was when that stuff was kind of coming out. So SLA, I would say, is what was used through the 90s, early 2000s of companies that were like model makers or short run production were generally taking stereolithography parts. That's how they were printing their digital copy of what was on the screen. And then they were making molds of it, silicone molds, doing like RTV and like urethane casting, stuff like that. So that was like the very, very beginning of all of that game, at least the way that I understand it. There's FDM, which is fused deposition modeling. This is a technology that was brought out by a company called Stratasys, I believe. They still have they did have the trademark on that for a minute, but FDM is probably the most common type of 3D printing in the world. And the best way I explain that to people that don't know anything about 3D printing is take a hot glue gun, put weed whacker line on a spool feeding into it, and then put it on a 2D CNC machine. And that's going to go around and draw your deal while it raises the Z height. So super simple. Almost anybody that's at home, it's like, hey man, I got this 3D printer for my kid. 99.9% of the time they're talking about a fused deposition modeling machine, or the non-copyrighted version is FFF, which is fused filament, something along those lines. Anywho, I'm not a real master of that style. It's always been kind of like a lower resolution thing. Obviously it's getting better with time, but it was just never something that was really a big part of my career at all. So usually people around town are like, hey man, can you come help me? My kid's got this 3D printer at the house. Can you help? And I'm like, is it like this? And they tell me, I'm like, I actually have never programmed an FDM build before. I've always done more industrial machines. So those are the two major ones that got started with the acronyms. Since then, there's some other ones like DLS, like digital light synthesis, I think, is something that was put out by a company called Carbon. They did super flashy marketing. They did the midsoles for the Adidas shoes, and things like that. There's some
Carbon was my favorite 3D printer for a long time. I just love loved the way that they did it, and it didn't hurt that Dana's awesome and she was there, and Jason was there and he was awesome, and like all these guys that I knew that were like they were cutting edge in 3D. Scott Kramer was there for a long time. All these guys, all these people that I loved that seemed like they got it right. They weren't just like the the guy behind the computer, the dorky guy, like, oh, you gotta try this technology. Like they were building relationships and telling mold makers, because that's what I was seeing, mold makers, molders, how this technology could benefit them and what that partnership would look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did a killer job of explaining to people basically that there's, especially to molders in particular, of like your molding is great and there's a lot of things that molding is always going to do. However, you do stumble upon some times where if you didn't have those constraints, if you were able to print something out of a liquid and then pull it out and then clean it out, you could create some really cool parts, usually small, longer parts. And you could do really cool geometries in them that you can't really make in a traditional sense. And then those parts being small and being able to fit so many out of the build plate, the economics actually made sense. And that's a whole other thing about this that is completely slept on by the big marketing people that have really given 3D printing a kind of a bad name. And what makes it kind of hard for us additive manufacturing folks, as we like to describe ourselves, is, we're actually beyond the consumer level. We're beyond the hype of 3D printing is going to take over the world and you're never going to injection mold anything again. And we're going to build these print farms and we're going to kill injection molding. It's a bunch of crap. And people over index for it because it's catchy and it's like edgy to say we're going to do away with injection molding, but it's actually not really feasible. Like there's always going to be that. We still do lost wax casting, guys. Like it's not like anything is ever going to put out something else forever.
Yeah, and I remember that when I met Dana and Scott the first time, it was at the molding conference the first year I was working here, so like 6 years ago, and they were the only two people that didn't say that. They didn't say like, you better get on board because you're gonna miss out. We're gonna put you all to bed. We're gonna destroy the plastic injection mold industry. And it was like, come on, guys, really, I don't care how many printers you have. If you've ever, and to me, what this told me was the people who are saying that have never been to a molding facility, because when you see the speed that you're knocking out parts, I mean, it's millions a day of these parts.
Crazy.
You're not going to print that. I mean,
and they're practically free. I mean, you're getting parts like a bottle cap. I mean, like, what do you got? Like a third of a cent in I mean, not that crazy, but I mean, the cost is so ridiculously small. It's repeatability. It's hands off. Your 3D printer, I don't care how cool it is or what kind of a robot you got there, you're still touching it with a person more than, I mean, it's just not feasible over, especially 10,000 parts. I mean, let's just get it on. Let's just make a tool and let's go. Now for bridge production while we're waiting on the tool.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we want to not make a tool yet because we're not really sure this is going to work? Let's do a couple of hundred before and make sure there's a market. Absolutely. But to be like, I'm going to make 100,000 of these things and we're going to 3D print all of them. Okay.
Yeah. Sure. Good luck with it. But for prototyping, right? Proof of concept, let's make them, get them out to the market, say, hey, what do you think of this product? Is it something you would use? I mean, that serves a great
purpose.
But when you're saying this is going to be the new way that we're just going to do everything, I think that's really far off.
I think I think it's when you can differentiate the difference between a person that just came into this and they're a salesperson versus, like you said, they've actually been in molding facilities. They've been in manufacturing. They've actually seen behind closed doors. Yeah. They've been to places and seen things that they can't tell you about because they had to sign paperwork. And when you have that kind of like that full spectrum of understanding, it's like life too, man. Like there's some things you just don't know until you know. And I think that there's a lot of people that kind of got caught with that as 3D printing kind of exploded. It was sexy. Everybody wanted to own a little bit of one. Venture capital's piling the cash in, and then you hire some kids out of school and they drink the Kool-Aid and they're like, we're going to kill injection. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Yeah. So, no, we're going to beat those dinosaurs. No, the dinosaurs got longevity.
And they're set up. Set up. Yeah. I mean, even US molders, man, I mean, they're still they crush us in production quantities all the time. Now, I mean, there's certain things, I mean, you get small, I mean, like little tiny parts like this for like a camera, like, okay, I need this part to just hold this one specific mic. This is to hold like a Rode Go mic in the hot shoe. So we like basically just planted it in there and you're able to plug it into the hot shoe on the top of a camera. And then you can put your like your little clip for your Road Go on there. Now, like doing that, yeah, you can mold it for sure. Am I going to sell like 10,000 of these? Probably not. I made it for myself, and then I'm just going to share it in a couple of Facebook groups, and then, whatever, if it happens, it happens. But, little things like that, it's fantastic for. But, maybe that's a case where, hey, I sell a couple hundred of them. I made it out of necessity for myself. Maybe I find a market, and then like maybe some camera companies like, hey, we'd like to buy 2,500 of those. Okay, right. Let's look at a tabletop tool, or, let's look at a mud base or something like that. You know what I mean?
Or we want to buy the drawings for that. We like it. We like the concept. We want to make that. Can we buy it from you? Richard Evans, my guy, Richard Evans is watching. He said he's looking forward to the show. I love Richard. You know Richard. You got to know Richard.
I think so. Maybe.
If not,
I will soon.
Yeah, RPS. Yeah, he's a mold designer for so many of these companies now. They can't farm out, or they can't hire in everything that they need. So he's just got his own company where he just builds and designs tooling and does that. So if you need somebody, whether it's 3D printed or conformal cooling or whatever, Richard is your guy. How's that for a plug? Love you, buddy.
That's what you get for commenting, guys. Jump in.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a free ad, baby.
That's what I'm saying. So
wait till you're big. You're going to start charging for those.
Not for my friends. Not for my friends. We had, it was funny. So we had one person in the history of the show, so like in 4 years, that said, hey, we want to advertise on your show. Can you send us your deck? And I was like, sure. I was like, crap, I got to make a deck. So we put it together, and we sent it out. We had an advertiser for like 2 months. It was great.
Nice. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to do that on the personal podcast too, man, for sure. I put it out there. I've also been dropping just like out there, like if any guys out there really likes the pod or like likes things that I'm doing in general, just 100 G's doesn't really change your life. It changed mine a lot. So just you could bring it on down, slide it under the door, payments, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. If you just want to hang out, that's cool. We could do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Additive America. What is Additive America? I'm jumping around a little bit, but I want to make sure that we get to some real stuff also. What is Additive America?
So Additive America is a company that I launched in 2017 or 2019. And largely at that time, we were kind of going to pursue the orthotic and prosthetic market. We kind of had like a digital workflow set up where we were utilizing scanning and some CAD skills to develop printable sockets and prostheses and orthoses and things like that. We kind of did that for a little bit. And then in 2022, I ended up buying out the partners and just kind of took it over myself. We've just kind of really gone back to just being a manufacturing assistant. I don't like saying the word consultant because it feels like everyone's a consultant these days, but more or less we like doing the thing kind of like Richard does. It's like, hey, there's a lot of people that need this specific thing, but they don't really have they don't need a full-time person, and they can't really afford the full-time person. There's really not a lot of people that have a good, well-versed understanding of kind of the prototyping into short run bridge production and then hand it off kind of that landscape. So more or less that's what we do and how we operate. We're a super small team. We run our own HP equipment. So that's our in-house equipment is a HP Multi-Jet Fusion. We run the color machine as well, the 580. Some more numbers and acronyms for you, but more or less that's what we do a lot of is using nylon 12 to produce parts that are for companies or individuals that need 1 to about 500 small parts that fit in your hand. We're pretty competitive in the like 2,500, 5,000 range, stuff like that. So we do a lot of like going into companies and saying, hey, you don't have anyone here that really thinks additively yet, and not coming in to tell you you're going to switch everything in this building over to additive manufacturing, but there's some things and some instances that you can kind of help people understand what else is out there in that environment. So that's largely what we do, is help companies kind of like an extension of their design and engineering team and materials procurement almost, of saying, hey, there is a way we can do that. And just SLA isn't the only, a lot of people, again, it's so new, and then there's just so many people in the game that are doing manufacturing and so few people in the game that are doing 3D printing. there's a lot of people in high-end engineering positions that think 3D printing is an FDM machine only, or it's just SLA and the materials are really brittle. And so we kind of do, at least I think so, of kind of being like, hey, there is SLA for that, but it's going to take like 4 days to do it. If we throw it in this machine over here, we can do it out of a nylon material, and it's not ABS, but it's pretty doggone close. And you're going to save a lot of heartache in that, and the mold reworkings and stuff like that. If you just try prototyping with this material, it's not exactly what you're going to mold in, but it's pretty doggone close.
Yeah, and there's more and more materials that are coming up, different structure, different, durability, all of those things. Sometimes you're giving a trade-off, right? You're going to have a real polished look. It might be a little bit more brittle. That's just the nature of material and the process and everything else. I think we just got Eglo machines. Is that the Saturn Eglo? We got a couple of those. I mean, they make beautiful parts.
Yeah. High resolution, coming from like a DLP setup. Yeah, I mean, it's fast too, because it's just flashing and pulling, and it's doing layers really, really quickly. So the cool thing about that too is like it doesn't matter how much you've got on the plate. Like it's generally like the layer time is this much time, and you ebb and flow it a little bit, but like pack that baby full, because it's just going to flash and pull and flash and pull, and that's real similar to the multi-jet fusion stuff we run. It takes 8 seconds or so, 8 seconds, depending on what settings you got, to run a layer. And it doesn't care if there's a teeny tiny part in that layer or if there's a whole mess of parts. So we do a lot of, that's the big benefit too of kind of powder-based printing for sure.
Those HP printers, they were my favorite. Like every time we go to FabTech or wherever we go that has printers on display, I get drawn to that HP booth and just watch that technology. And it's so good. I mean, the parts look so good. The technology is just so cool. I love it.
Yep. Yeah, it's really cool, man. We've paired it up with the shameless plug. They don't pay me, but they should, but AMT with the Post Pro 3D, man, that machine, it does a heck of a job of smoothing parts, and it makes it look nice. And I mean, it really gets you kind of close to like injection molded stuff. I mean, yeah, you're printing on a powder, you get a little texture to it, but it runs it through, it comes out shiny, it goes in threads. It does a really, really smacking job. I mean, you can get really close. I mean, the things that we find that people are using it for in production are like a lot of defense companies that by the time they make a mold for something, or if they're doing frames for firearms and stuff like that, by the time they machine it all the way out, I mean, you're talking $200-$300 for a frame or for a grip. And once you get the CAD, the CAD work is more intensive to set it up. But if you can print your grips with textures built into them and things like that, now you're not having to go in, take a part out of a mold, add a texture to it. And I know you can put textures in molds. We all know that, but we had an instance where we had a client that was literally buying parts, and then they were sitting there with a hot gun and stippling them, and we were like, hey, if we incorporate, we can scan it, incorporate it right into that thing, and print them off every single time. Like, the cost for me doesn't go up. It's still the same size and shape, but you're going to save an hour and a half of man time per. And those are the types of things where it really lends itself to short run production or kind of bespoke products that are always going to be that.
Yeah. And where you want it to be custom, and where you want to do something that's unique or one off, or things that you're never going to machine certain things in. But I mean, you could put the logo of the brand all over the place. You could just throw it in, 3D print it.
Yeah. Serialized production's huge too. I mean, that's another big one. They just want to know, they just want to have a run of numbers and be able to track. Huge.
It just keeps growing and getting better, and it's an awesome thing. What are you guys doing? I saw you did a video with Richard Savage, the tool of the week stuff, and I know that you're big into the end of arm tooling. What's going on with that?
Sure. So I've been working with Richard Savage, Savage Automation, for a few years now. He kind of found us through the HP network. He was looking for someone. He was at a trade show like you. He was at their booth and was like, wow, this is the stuff. Now I got some ideas. Airtight, watertight was what really got him. He can design in air manifolds into the part, so he could reduce all the tubing and stuff going around his end of arm tools. So his business largely is he is going around and helping companies that are in injection molding, and he's helping them basically create robotic assistance devices to go in and pull parts out of the mold, so the mold can keep going. You know how that goes. So he's been doing that for a little while, and then we've been the company that has kind of been producing all of his parts. He really likes the way we finish parts and stuff like that. And then over time, it's just kind of, you know, how it goes in this industry, man. You just kind of become friends with certain people, and you know, you're on there kind of coming up with ideas, and you know, he's like, hey, I want to try this, and you're like, cool, based on what I know about this plastic and the way it works, make that hole about this big so we can get powder out of it. If you can do this on your end, that would help us on a post-processing level, and stuff like that is really cool to work together. And then here recently, we kind of hang out together at trade shows and stuff. And then the other day I was like, man, we've done enough of these things. And every time we post about them or we talk about them, like, I find myself telling the other people about, like, man, there's this really cool way you can put all this stuff together, just kind of like hybridizing, using standard off the shelf components with printing. And so, yeah, we were like, let's just do a show. And we were kind of kicking around. It's like, man, I'd love to just do a show called Tool of the Week, and just every week we spend 9 to 11 minutes and we just dive into a different design that you have, and you tell us all about it. And I'm a moron. I didn't go to college for any of this stuff, so I'll just ask you like super layman's questions about it, and you teach me the language and the way things go in injection molding. So it's kind of been fun, and it's super. You know, we have a great time doing it, and it's a good time. But you know, we launch them on we put them on YouTube, and we've got them on LinkedIn as well. So you have to check them out. But and it's just been a cool partnership, and it's just like, it's a way, I think it's very important, kind of my mission here, kind of moving on from the O&P world and back into like general manufacturing and stuff, where I'm a little more versed and comfortable, is kind of partnering with and showing people in the molding thing of like, hey, I'm not the additive guy coming out here to steal it all from you. I'm just here to show you guys what we can do really well. And I want to learn from you guys what y'all do really well. And, you know, there's a lot of times that my products and my people, now that I've been doing it long enough, they're getting to numbers that I can't really compete with printing anymore. So me learning more about molding keeps me, you know, well-versed in the overall game of kind of what we were talking about, knowing a little bit about all of manufacturing and not just being hyper specifically focused on something. So,
yeah. And, you know, speak of the devil and he shall appear. Richard Savage is listening with us. It says, nice shout out. We did a podcast with him a while back. You know, you can go back and find that one in the archives, whether it's on YouTube or whatever. But it's just so good to be able to have those solid partnerships with people that, like, they're going to be honest with you and help you grow, and you can help them grow, because that's really what it's all about, is getting better, right? As a service provider, that's what you are. That's what we are. If you don't understand your customer or what they need and then try to grow with them, then you're basically useless.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, there's so much information now that, like, unless you're really providing a dynamic approach, they're just going to keep your videos and find all the information. And that kind of leads us all the way back around to the authenticity.
Yeah.
If all the information you need is all searchable on the internet, what the hell do you need me for? I hope you like me.
Well, and that's really it, right? That's really what it boils down to. I think that there's a need for more people like yourself, like, you know, we don't do it as much anymore. I've gotten too busy to make videos. It sounds sad and pathetic, but you know, that just take that step and get out there and do it and make that happen. You know, I don't know if you are, but I'm a fan of Gary Vee, and that mentality of like, listen, somebody's going to tell people how to do it. It might as well be you. You have information to share. Get out there and share it, right? While we're an industry that's looking for that next generation of people, you know, my dad said the other day, we gotta hire more people. How do you do that now? We used to just like put an ad in the Tribune. Well, there's no Tribune anymore. You know, nobody even knows. No, kids don't know what a mold maker is. They don't get what that is. And that's more the norm than what we would like. And we want more kids to be involved in this industry. How do we do that? Well, we have to, you, myself, even people younger than us that are in the industry, we need to go out there. And as much as I have never watched anything on the app TikTok, I've seen TikToks on Facebook or whatever, but I do not have that app. It's one of the apps I do not have. But that's where that generation that we want to reach is learning about what they want to do next. And I think when people walk into our facility, or I'm sure they walk into your facility and they see how cool it is and what you're actually making, it opens their eyes to the potential of not only a career, but what's possible. And I think that we need more people to, um, realize that they have something to say and record it and put it out there.
Yeah, totally. That's a big one. And like, don't think that just because you and your little silo of guys in the shop figured something out and you think that you're the first ones to have ever figured that out. Over the time, like over 10 years, I thought that about so many different things. And come to find out, there's a lot of people that they'll be like, we do it this way. And you're like, yeah, yes, we've been doing it that way too. And it's like, well, how come everyone's acting like it's a big daggone secret? Like, just if you know how much business you would get by making a really cool thing and explaining it. And then over time, people, like social media is a great example. Like, we have a little social media business as well with my wife. We show you how to do it. Like, it's all out there. If you want to learn, it's all right there. But there's still people out there that don't want to take the time to do it, or they just don't have the time to do it. And they're willing to pay someone to do it. So you may as well be the one that, hey, they learned enough to know that they need it. Well, if they learned it from you, who the heck are they going to call first? Probably the person that taught them a little bit about it, or they're at least going to give you a run, at making the relationship there. So that's kind of the way that we've noticed it, man. And it's a long game too. It's such a long game. Like, I used to get asked a lot, what's the ROI on making those videos? Can you really quantify, at this point, what you're getting out of your time? And I've never been able to actually put a number on it. And I've had some people tell me from, actual marketing, that's bad. You should always be able to quantify what you're doing. But the amount of times in the last 12 months that I've had someone reach out to me for the first time, and they've said that they've followed me for 3 years or longer, and they finally reached out, they followed me for a while, never really had anything that they needed to work with me on, but they just liked the page. They liked the content and they saw something in it. And then lo and behold, they're like 2 years out of college. They're at their third job or whatever. And they're like in a meeting, someone's like, we need to do something with this. And they're like, I've got a guy for that. And they call you and bam, it just turns into stuff. I mean, it's a ton of times in the last year that's happened, where it's been specifically, I've followed you for over 3 years and I'm just now reaching out. And it's cool, man. And you don't have to, it's not, after time, you're not as awkward about it. The first couple of times you're kind of like, oh, that's really cool. Like, you feel really super duper special. That, like, someone feels like they know you. And it's kind of weird. You're like, man, that person knows a lot about me. And like, I don't know who they are. But then like after a while, like, it's kind of fun, man. You're like, oh, really? Like, that's when we got, what made you start following me? Just the fact that you weren't an overhyped or overproduced thing. It was somewhere between 45 seconds and 2 minutes. And it was actual information that was valuable. And I didn't have to cut through all this BS and glamour to get to it. So just authenticity, man.
I think you hit it right on the head. As business owners, our time is valuable, right? And you only have so much of it. And so I get the question of what's the ROI. My response is, what's the ROI on not doing it? What's the penalty for it? I know that when we go to a trade show, we don't need to have a 20 by 20 booth anymore. We have a presence that is beyond the trade show. So when people walk up to our booth, it's not like we're meeting for the first time, even if we are, because they know everything about us. I mean, we're very transparent on who we are. We show the good, the bad, the ugly, and this is me. This is what you get. This is what you get on a podcast, audio form, a video, in person, at dinner, out for drinks. This is me. You get it. All soup to nuts. And so when I get to meet people for the first time and we're at a trade show, it's like we're friends. We can jump right into like the third or fourth date. This is not like the, getting to know you stages of being cautious and pussyfooting around things. We're right into the weeds because people know who we are.
Yep. Yeah, totally, man. Totally. And it makes, like, when you do need to make a call, it makes it a lot easier too. Like, you don't just make videos, guys, and everybody comes to you and life is easy and rosy, and you sit back and you wait on the phone to ring. Like, you're still approaching, but it makes the approaches way, way easier too, of like, all right, maybe they're not the personality type to have reached out to me, but they're 100% the personality type to take the call and be like, wow, that person I've been following, also, like, we're in a society where people put, if you're on a screen, like, that's we're still in kind of TV phase there, where like people put that on a thing, and like there for a minute there it was like, yeah, but I'm just making it on my phone. You have this too. But there was kind of a disconnect there. People didn't want to do it, or they felt a little edgy, or they felt like they needed to keep the tie really tight to actually do it. And dude, like the amount of times I over-index, I wear this every single day. Like it's another additive hoodie and another additive hat and a black sweatpants. And it's just like over time, especially moving to a new area, man, I've just become, the branding of it is just so easy and so quick. And, you know, it's wild. It's wild. It happens on the local setup too, here in this town that we've been in for a couple of years. We've done a lot of like social media stuff there. Myself, just personally as a person, and investing in things in town with time and giving a care about making things better for other people, and people love it, man. And then, you know, when you do need help, or when you do need something, you can put it out there, and people are very, very, very likely to assist you.
It is fun, right? When you go to the trade show and, you know, somebody recognizes you for, you know, something that you did, it is kind of fun, and it's weird. It's a very weird feeling, because, you know, let's be honest, I got like 100 people that'll watch this show over the lifetime of it. So, you know, there's 100 people that are going to see it. That's fine. That's it. And, you know, what I always say is, we don't do this for millions of views. That's not the purpose. The purpose is there one person that's going to find value in what we have to say? Is there one person that's going to pass this on, or they're going to say, oh, we can use this HP technology to make this part that we've been trying to figure out how to do. It's not about the millions and millions and millions and millions and millions. If it was, I would have stopped doing this a long time ago and just, like, you know, tucked tail and ran. And I always say, like, I ask people, give me feedback. What can I do better? What did you not like about the show? And they're like, you don't even know me. Do you really want me to be honest with you? I'm like, yes, the fact that I don't know you is even better, because if I know you, you're going to be like, oh no, it's great. And it's like, but if it's not, help me get better. It's the same thing with anything, right? In the shop, with products, with services, with sales calls, with whatever. If you can't accept feedback or criticism, or find ways to grow, then you're never going to get better. You're just going to be in that stagnant plateau of purgatory / hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And it, you know, for some people, they love that, and that's what's comfortable to them, and they are cool with being comfortable, and that's their vibe. But, you know, and if you're like that, and that's the way you put out your stuff, then you'll find more people like you, and those may be the people that you sell. Like, you're just their flavor of ice cream. But Tony, I think you'd agree, like, the people that come to you are people you probably kick it off with really well, just as people.
Oh,
because they're drawn to the goofy guy that screwed up the intro. You know what I mean? Like, that's like the thing that they like about you. And they're like, man, I screw stuff up all the time too. I like that Tony guy, or I like Zach, because like he totally flubbed that, and he didn't even remake the 1 minute video. He just was like, oh my gosh, sorry about that total diarrhea of the mouth there. See you tomorrow. And so you kind of weed out, you know, it's really fun to do all that work. And then you get, you know, you do it the traditional way, and you're grinding, you're making all these calls, and then you get like a connection with someone, and then you talk to them, you're like, man, like, it's cool to, you know, they bring work to us, but man, it's just not a connection with that person. It's almost like it's really work when I gotta do those jobs for Terry. You get a lot less Terrys coming to you when you're just putting yourself out there. Like, you find the cool kids that you vibe really well with, and they, you know, they're more likely to reach out to you that way. I mean, I get a lot of young engineers that give me a call. I don't get a lot of really, really old guys giving me a call like, hey, I think I want to try the young guy for my parts. But it helps me find those people that I get along with really well. And then, you know, like Richard is a perfect example. Like Richard, we were talking about the other day, his thing at the trade shows is he's going to wear a button up, and he's going to cycle through different bow ties. And he wants people to be like, that's the tool of the week guy with the bow tie on. And I was like, dude, that's totally your vibe. And I'll continue to be the hoodie and sweatpants dude. So, and it works. Like, it totally works.
So you guys are doing that for PT Expo?
Yeah. So we've been, the tool of the week. We're going to keep rocking and rolling. We're going to keep putting them out once a week, all the way through PT Expo at least. We're hoping that by then, you know, we kind of want to be cool like you, man. We want to like hopefully there's some people at PT Expo that have some really interesting tools to talk about too. Like when we start sprucing it up a little bit, it's kind of where I see it going over time. I mean, eventually we'll definitely have some guests on. We're probably going to hammer out the first 10 or 12, just the two of us, because he's got some really good ones, and we've worked together on most of them. And but yeah, man, it works really cool. And like Richard's happiness doesn't come out of my happiness, and my happiness doesn't come out of the amount of happiness he can have. So we kind of have realized that too, of like, we don't really compete. We kind of we accentuate what each other's businesses do, and we have a great time putting it together and doing it together too. So it's very cool.
And that's really it, right? If you're having fun doing it and you're bringing some value to other people, it's great. Even if, again, to me, it's the one person, right? It's the one person that makes a difference. You talk about like the goofy guy, right? I have this stars and stripes outfit that I wear for all the golf outings, because why not, right? And when I bought it, I sent it to my brother. My brother at the time worked in medical device sales, and I sent him a picture, and he was like, "Tony, you can't do this. You're running a business now. You have to be professional. You have to look a certain way. You can't wear that suit. Take it off." And I was like, "No, like that's me. That's that guy." And so I bought the suit. I wore it. Everybody loved the suit. It was great. We went to, what was it? Oh, the AMBA conference. And we had a tabletop because we were a supplier. So we had a tabletop. We brought a laser engraving machine. We were making golf coins for people. And we could not get anybody to talk to us. Not a single person would talk to us. It felt like the biggest waste of time, space, energy, everything. It was awful. Right. We were begging people, "Hey, let me show you how to make this thing," and nobody cared. And then for dinner, then there was a formal dinner afterwards, and so I was like, you know what, I'm doing it. And so I wore the jacket and like red pants. And everybody came up to me. They were like, "I love the suit. I love the suit." I was like, "American manufacturers, gotta love it." They're like, "I love the suit." And one guy walks up. He's like, "You're the laser guy, right? We should talk tomorrow." I was like, "Stupid suit." Stupid suit. I mean, that's what it takes, is a stupid suit. I've got like bright red Brooks running shoes, and I wear them everywhere. I'll wear it with a suit coat and a nice shirt, and I go to a high-end conference or whatever, and people are like, "Man, those shoes make a statement. What do you do?" And I'm like, "All right, well, let's talk."
Yep.
But it's like you gotta put yourself out there a little bit and be willing to be a little bit different and fail and look stupid. I mean, let's be honest. There's times where we do this show and you think, "Man, why am I doing this? Nobody cares."
Yeah, for sure.
People are like, "Don't you get nervous?" And I'm like, "No, nobody watches it. It's fine."
That's what I tell guests all the time. They're sitting there like, I'm like, "Dude, it's cool. Like 43 people are going to watch this, and like 22 of them are your friends, your family, because they're going to watch it because it's you." Like, my wife doesn't even watch my show. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things.
My wife used to. She used to comment all the time, and then she got bit. Oh no, I think we switched days or whatever it was. It's she was just watching to be supportive. I love her for that. She didn't care. Like, we would get done. I was like, "What'd you think of today's show?" She's like, "I had no idea what you guys were talking about." It was great.
Sounded good.
"Thanks for supporting me, baby. I love you." It's great.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we're wrapping up here. Is there anything else that you want to touch base on? I'll ask you that first. Anything else that you want to touch base on before we get to some final thoughts here?
I think we covered a bunch of fun stuff, man. I don't really have anything super duper pressing on top of it.
Okay.
What you got? What's your question?
So we always wrap our show up with a prayer. So I'll throw this out there and see if anybody has any prayer requests. I do see we got some people watching. Nothing is off limits. You can make yourself vulnerable. I know you can't put anonymous, but if it's pressing enough that you want a prayer request, I guess throw your name in there, and that's fine. So you mentioned PT Expo. We're going to try something at PT Expo that is either going to be like we like to do things here, and we think it's either going to be a huge success or an awful failure, and we don't know which one it's going to be yet. And so we're going to have a 10 by 20 booth And we're going to dedicate about 10 feet of that to podcasts, interviews, and wait, there's more, some sort of games. So we're thinking about having like Jeopardy or Family Feud or some sort of like game show going on in the booth. So if you're listening and you're going to be at PT Expo and you want to participate, put that in the comments. Also, if you think it's a terrible idea, I mean, you can put it in the comments, but we're going to do it anyways because I think it'll be fun. Because I think there's so many times you walk around a trade show and like everything is kind of the same. And so we want to just capture a different part of it. And so, we're trying to figure out, do we have signups beforehand? Do we get teams in? Do we schedule dates? Do we schedule times? But if you and Richard are going to be walking around doing stuff together, I would love to have you guys come by and we'll do a tool of the week, alliance manufacturing alliance style, and at least book some of that time out. And if nothing else, we're gonna hopefully have some comfortable chairs to sit on for a while too. So.
That's what I remember from molding 2019, man. In Indy, you guys had the little lounge set up. You're over in the corner. I remember the red shoes. I was like, man, this guy's got it going on over there. Because I was like that guy at that show where I was like one of the tables way down away from it, and no one was talking to me. So I was just kind of like leaving my stuff over there and hanging out with everybody else on that side. But yeah, man, I'm totally down for that. The special PT Expo tool of the week would be cool. We'll have to reach out, maybe try and find some people that'll be there too. And yeah, man, that'd be super good.
Yeah, we'll set that up. I think that was the year when Christina and I did molding after dark.
Yes. Yeah. That was it.
That was stupid fun.
Yeah,
that was just cool. Like we had no idea what to expect, and we thought, to hell with it. We'll see. We don't know what's going to happen. It'll be fine.
It was smart. I thought it was smart. It's always been like an idea in the back of my head because of you guys doing it, to just like do a trade show, like do something like that, and specific in my industry. And the booth is just my podcast setup, and all I want you to do is just walk in and sit down for 10 minutes. Like, so
when we did PT Expo last year, we did some podcasts in the booth, and it was great. We got to practice some stuff for this year, make sure everything works properly. But it was great because people want to know what's going on. So if nothing else, it was a stopper. Not that everybody heard it, but it was a stopper to because it's something unique and different. And this year, like I said, we're gonna up the ante a little bit. We're gonna do some like Pat Sajak, Bob Barker, let's make a deal kind of stuff. Oh, does anybody have a nail file? Go. Well, it'll be like a little scavenger hunt. We'll just announce it. It'll be something.
Yeah, miscellaneous pocket tools.
Yes, I think we'll just throw it out on social media. Like, if you're at PT Expo and you have a miniature tape measure, bring it to the Alliance booth to claim a prize.
Yeah, or like a shim gauge. Guys got those on the keychains too.
Yeah. If you have an Alliance shirt on and you don't work for the company, come to the booth. We have a prize for you. Oh, we're gonna have to get a bunch of prizes. Yeah, it's going to be a thing. So that's going to be coming up for PT Expo, and hopefully we can set something up with you and Richard and knock some stuff out.
Totally.
I'm hoping Christina doesn't get too mad at me for like horking in on her like interview stuff, but I think the space is big enough for everybody, and I'm giving you money, so let me do it.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like you almost get to have your own little private track. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm not going to say that. It's not a track. It's not a track.
It's a smart utilization of the space, and it's also great for the company that's putting on the show, because you're basically creating a ton of content about PT Expo, and it gets people that didn't go there to be like, well, crap, I should have went. There's so much stuff coming from it. Like, obviously it's something I need to be at. So
it
definitely helps that for sure.
So it'll be good. Zach, do you have any prayer requests for us?
I do not.
It means life is good. In our church, it's dangerous. If you don't have prayer requests, they pray for your suffering.
Yeah, you're supposed to knock on wood.
That has never gone well for me. It's every time my wife prayed for suffering, I got a hernia, a UTI, busted ankle. She is not allowed to ask for that anymore.
That's too bad.
It is too bad. So I'm gonna pray for us real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to meet and talk with Zac, a friend that I've admired from afar and never really had an opportunity to talk to. So thank you for creating this technology in this space, and thank you for the heart he has and the generosity and the authenticity to just share in real ways. And we just pray that you would continue to be with everybody that's watching and listening or ever hears this at any point, that they would feel blessings in their life, that they would be safe and healthy, and that, you know, through all of it, that we would take confidence in knowing the fact that you are in control of what's going on. And we like to pretend like we are, but we know we're not. And so everything we do, we try to do for you, to give you the glory. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Zac, thank you, my friend. I honestly, I love your videos. Please keep doing them. I love the fact that you're doing them on the one wheel and making it fun and interesting and different. And it's not just some boring thing. And so I may not watch all of them all the way through. I'm sure you don't watch all of mine all the way through, and we don't have to, but I appreciate the effort that you put into the industry and growing your business, and just that spirit for being different and fun. So thanks for coming on, and thanks for doing all that.
For sure, brother. Thank you, man. Really appreciate the opportunity, like I said, and we'll have to do some more sometime in the future, man, for sure.
Yeah, no, let's talk soon.
Cool.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
You got it, buddy.
That's Zac. I told you, he's an energetic guy. I love that guy. And I'm so grateful that he came on. I think we talked about this like 2 years ago, doing something, and it just never came to fruition. And so, it had to be the right time and the right place. And today was that time. Today was that place. I want to thank everybody for watching and listening and being part of the Manufacturing Alliance, right? It's not just a show, it's like a movement. And that's what we're trying to do with E210. We want people to actually feel part of what this is. An alliance is just people coming together with the same ideas and thoughts and convictions and passions. And that's what we are. We are a manufacturing alliance. It's not just a show. It's not just a thing. It's all of us coming together to make an impact, to make a difference. And we're going to start doing that more and more. And we want you to be involved in that. So if you have any thoughts, you have any questions, you have any anybody that you feel would be a good guest, go ahead and let us know. We want to hear those stories. We want to tell those stories, and we want to be part of your journey and your success. So on behalf of everybody that is here with Alliance and that is part of the Zac's family and company, we want to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and say take care and God bless.